Shamanism is the oldest spiritual practice known to humankind. And basically, what we know about shamanism is that it dates back probably about 100,000 years, if not more. It was a spiritual practice that was practiced by all peoples around the world. The word shaman itself comes from the Tungus tribe in Siberia, and it means one who sees in the dark or healer. It depends on what translation we go with. And shamanism is a very powerful practice for being able to get spiritual information, but it's also a way of life. It's learning how to live a way of life that's in harmony and in balance with nature. So in this workshop, we'll be looking at how shamans work cross-culturally. We won't be picking on one particular shamanic community, but we're going to be looking at what is it that all shamans around the world do, whether they're in Siberia, Australia, Africa, North or South America, parts of Europe. We're looking at the cross-cultural aspects of shamanism. And today, we're mostly going to be focused on ourselves, which isn't always that interesting. Tomorrow, we'll be looking at how we can use shamanism to help others. And of course, with all that's going on the planet today, I'm hoping that I can sneak in, that we can find some time to do some work for planetary healing. And I know that we can make that happen. This particular workshop tends to go very quickly, and we keep things moving along. And so I really want to talk to you about some ways that you could take care of yourself so that you have, you know, a good experience in the group. Those of us who are here, those of us who are watching it online won't have some of the same questions that come up. But what happens in workshop situations, because you will be sharing your experiences with other people here in the group, is part of human nature is to compare your experiences with other people. Oh, that person is having a better experience than I am. Maybe I don't have shamanic power. Maybe this isn't the path for me. And it's really important to just try and drop that one. I know that we're in a group situation, we are in a community, but it's really important to understand that the spirits are dancing with you on a very individual basis. And one of my spiritual helpers is the Egyptian goddess Isis. And she gave me a really beautiful metaphor to teach me about this. And she said, imagine yourself being at a ballroom dance or, you know, some big dance. And you're having this really intimate dance with your partner. If you're looking into their eyes and doing this dance with them, there's a magic that happens. But if you're dancing and looking behind you and watching everybody around you dancing, the magic is broken. So in this workshop, think about that the spirits are doing a very intimate dance with you. And don't worry what everybody else in the room is doing. We will share, but it's about trusting and honoring your own experience. And part of the power of shamanism, and I grew up in the 60s, so you know, I'm always going for things that give me freedom and independence. And there are no rules in shamanism. Shamanism is about direct revelation, meaning whatever your experience is correct. So I know people are going to ask me questions like, this is what I got in my journey, is this right? Everything's right. Or people oftentimes ask me, have you ever seen anything like this before? Well, everything is unique and everything is magical and everything is individual. So it's important to just really trust that the spirits are going to be giving you an experience besides what I can provide for you. That once you invite the spirits in, they're going to be dancing with you in a very unique and individual way. So just really honor your experience around that and laugh. I'm going to do the best I can to make you laugh. Laugh at me, laugh with me, whatever you want to do. But the more you can open up to a place of humor, the more the spirits can get in, because what stops us oftentimes from being able to have access in the spiritual realms is we get so serious and we get so rational, and the spirits really can't work with that, because they really are trying to get you to move into a heart place. That's the only way they can communicate with you, because you're turning on your invisible ears and your invisible eyes and all your invisible senses. And so as you soften up and can laugh a bit, if you've ever been around indigenous shamans, they laugh all the time. And that's because they've learned how to transcend the ordinary worlds. And they do travel into those rich, wealthy inner gardens, those inner worlds, where they see that so much of the trauma that we've created in the outer world really is not what life is about. And so they're able to laugh about things because they see the illusion, and that gives them, as they laugh and can see the illusion, they can travel deeper into those inner gardens, those inner spaces inside of themselves, where they get a better sense of how to help others and to really manifest healing into the world. I've been teaching shamanism for 30 years now, and I've trained over 10,000 people and in a Western world. And so I see different challenges that come up from the Western mind. And one of the biggest challenges that come up is everybody wants to see their journeys as if they're watching a movie. And if I was going to say what was one of the biggest challenges I ever had to deal with, is trying to get people away from watching more TV in their journeys. You're actually in a journey, you're actually traveling into a hidden world. And I'll talk more about the formalities of journeying as we move along. And in that hidden world, you're going to see, hear, feel, taste, and smell, just like you do in this world. And in a shamanic culture, the shaman actually enters fully in this world and navigates and dances and meets spirits and has all their senses engaged. In a modern world, a lot of the anthropological literature talks about the shaman seeing. And so everybody thinks that the shaman sees with their eyes, but that term shamanic sight has to do with shamans see through their hearts, not through their eyes. And so I am not a very visual person in my journeys. I have been journeying for a long time, so all my senses at this particular point kick in. But I tend to be more clairaudient personally. My power animals talk to me, give me messages. I'm also clairsentient. I have a knowing about things. And then the sight part of things, the images, they come and go, but they're not my strongest psychic sense. And so I'm always very saddened when people say to me, I don't think this is my path. I can't journey. I don't see any pictures. And if I would have given up on shamanism because I didn't see any pictures, I would have given up 30 years ago. And shamanism has been a really important path for me. As a person who has experienced a tremendous amount of trauma, like many of us in life, shamanism and the helping spirits really brought through healing for me to be able to keep me going in life. And I really don't know where I'd be right now if I didn't have that spiritual help. And to think that I might have given up because I didn't see the movies in a journey, it's sad for me to watch other people start to give up because they're not seeing the TV programs or the movies. And the movies are great, love the movies, but they don't always give you the depth of the information that you need either. So throughout this weekend, throughout this course, I'm going to be encouraging you to open up all your senses to really be able to bring through that wealth of the hidden universe. Because again, we're such a visual culture. Everything for us in this culture has to do with visuals. What are we seeing? And the spirits are going to be communicating with you through all of your senses. But I find at first that when people first engage in the practice of shamanism, they have certain psychic senses that kick in first. And just to give you an example of this, I'm always amazed at artists who learn shamanic journeying who never see images in their journeys, but they're so used to navigating the ordinary world through the visuals. It takes a while to have the patience to really see what sense is being revealed to them in their journeys. So everybody has the power to journey. I have never met a person who couldn't journey. I have met people who couldn't journey when they first started out, because once you start to learn how to open up your senses more, then the senses that you're comfortable with or used to navigating in the ordinary worlds, you find that you do have that opening into the spirit world, but you just have to have some patience with yourself. And then the other question that comes up for people is, am I making up my journeys? That's a very big question that comes up in the Western world. Shamans would never ask a question like that, but because they live in a culture where the hidden worlds are seen as real, and all of this is illusion. So, you know, they always say, why are you making up this world? You know, and I remember hearing a story about a shaman once who was taken to the movies, and when asked what he thought about the movie afterwards, he said, my movies are so much better. So, you know, the shamans really understand that the images are coming up from the spiritual realms. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and we didn't talk about spirits at the dinner table. You know, we talked about that if you can't see it, hear it, feel it on a tangible level, then you're making it up. And of course, for many of us in our culture, we were told to stop daydreaming, get a life, and get real. So, you know, we closed those doors to the hidden realms. We all talked to spirits when we were kids. I mean, shamanism isn't something that you're learning for the first time. All of you in the room are remembering what you did as children, because kids are natural shamans. And so our mind wants us to kind of close down and say, no, you're making this up. What are you doing at this workshop? Why are you taking this course? And it's going to try and limit your ability to really be free in the non-ordinary realms. I find for myself, because my left brain is pretty strong, and again, I grew up in a culture that told me, you know, to really focus on this world and to leave the hidden worlds behind. If you fight with your left brain, if you fight with that mental part of yourself, you're going to spend the entire workshop fighting with yourself, and it's just a waste of time. So I just agree with my left brain. Every time it says to me, you're making this up, I say, you're correct. And I just keep going on the journey. I just don't fight it. You're right, I'm making it up. You know, it frees up an incredible amount of energy to do that. Shamanism is a system, is a practice that is very result-oriented. Shamans were the doctors and the psychotherapists in their community. They were responsible for divining food sources. If they couldn't heal the people, if they couldn't find food, the people died. So for 100,000 years, it's been passed down of, do you get information that works? Does your life get better because you're journeying and talking to helping spirits? Do people who you're working with, does their life improve? Does the planet improve from this work? So what you'll start to notice over time is that the practice proves itself to you because you're going to start to notice synchronicities that happen from your journeys with what happens in your life. You're going to start to notice, oh, my helping spirit was right. Or when a healing took place, God, I feel really good. And when you journey for somebody else, I couldn't have possibly known that information that my helping spirits gave me. So the practice will prove itself to you, but you have to have patience because you have to see how it goes. Now, of course, some of you might say, well, it was nice to meet you, it's nice to learn this work, and I just don't feel connected to the work. And then you, of course, have to find, a spiritual path that works for you. But if you feel, as you proceed in this workshop, I really like doing this work, if you hang in there, the spirits will show you the power of the work. And then over time, you start to understand, I can't be making this up. Or I'm getting great results, so who cares if I'm making it up? I have a great imagination. And so that question doesn't burden you in your, doesn't pull you back in your journey so much. I would say that for this weekend, just tell your mind, yes, I'm making it all up, and just allow yourself to keep going. And we're all mass hallucinating here together and having a good time, hopefully, so don't worry about it too much, and just notice what happens over time.